Welcome to the Dice Box and the return of Tombstone Blues, our weird Wild West Deadlands thing that I put together mostly because noms. Actually, a lot of this can be attributed to mostly because noms, but we love him for it because it gives all manner of ideas for things to do and characters to throw at these other two. So, all is good, and okay, all is good for you guys out of character. In character, y'all got some problems. um, in the last chapter of our little Weird West adventure, the bunch turned up at this town that was caught in perennial dust storm that was eroding the town in more ways than one. Some of this seemed to be partially originating from the Hillcrest Sanitarium, which apparently, people were going missing, people were getting killed, it was a whole thing. After some creepy-ass and unfortunate encounters in the town, they went to the Hillcrest Sanitarium where they had further creepy-ass encounters. Including the big one, which fucked them up most significantly, stole the red, glowy, weird-ass, hypercharged ghost rock that Aloy decided it would be a great idea to pull out of the Reckoner's nether plane, or wherever the hell, and wandered off. And unfortunately, at least part of that involved the corrupted / possessed / really messed up husband of Jillian Kane, Gunslinger of God, which is not impressing her even the tiniest bit. Because Aloy had the unfortunateness to figure out that the Hillcrest Sanitarium, which was where poor Isaac had been turned into the thing that he is now, was where her parents threatened to send her if she didn't marry a zombie guy, frankly. So she's not overly thrilled by any of this either, and wants everyone and everything involved to die in a fire, not to mention probably feeling slightly guilty about the fact that the ghost rock that she ill-advisedly dragged out of the Reckoner's domain is now in the hands of this bunch and, on the material plane, and judging by her maths is going to do some pretty horrific shit. Even if attempted to be used benignly, it would be doing some pretty inauspicious shit. So, what's it gonna do when someone's actually trying to fuck shit up with it? And Reba, while not directly personally invested in any of this at the moment, still has the whole, that expression, that just kind of sums it all up, because she stalks the crossroads semi-professionally as like a calling with a capital C, and this ain't good. All that to say that they are now chasing the thing that they tried to fight in the basement of the Hillcrest Sanitarium across the wastes to destroy it, hopefully save Isaac, whatever form that saving may take, and dealing with at least that part of the problem, because they know they're not going to cleanse the entire wastes, although Jillian, being the Gunslinger of God, is probably going to die trying. So, but largely at this point it's chasing Isaac, so I get to say this. The man in black fled across the wastes, and the Gunslinger followed. Sorry, Spiegel, that was mostly for those two. Yeah, you...
Got it, I can breathe. That was sorry, laughing way too hard at that. That was awesome. Sorry.
Anyway, yes, you guys travel in the actual wastes with a capital W is difficult on a number of levels. Now, Jillian has seen some shit, but she hasn't been in quite this part of things before. I mean, possibly a little bit further south, but not heading directly into the heart of it. So even for her, it's a little creepy. Reba's probably the best equipped to deal with it because she's hit both sides of that line. So the creepy, while it's creepy, is, you know, she's trained to deal with this. For Aloy, first of all, she hasn't spent this much time camping in inclement conditions. And while she's dealt with creepy, it's usually been in bursts. This is daily oppressive creepy, nightly noises creepy, shadows out of the corner of your eye, but when you look, there's nothing there creepy. Of course, there's also
Sustained.
the sustained, inexorable, you know, that kind of tension where it feels like somebody's tightened your nerves like guitar strings. And they just kept them there. And there's only minimal respite to be found in cleaning the sand out of Muffin's various joints. The horses aren't liking this very much. I mean, Jillian's horse is already a bit freaked out because not that long ago Isaac was actually branding the poor thing. So you spend a good couple of weeks traversing the wastes at a pretty slow pace. You kind of have to because you're kind of absent a map because this is the here there be monsters place. So you're going slowly and you're kind of doing a perimeter search kind of thing more than traveling in a straight line because you don't really have any place to travel to. So it's been a more of a meander than anybody really likes. During the course of these 2 weeks, Jillian and Reba are each get themselves a bit of a visit from their respective others with a capital O. Now, for Reba, it's pretty abstract. She sees the forms of owl, panther, turtle, bear, and feels them in a way that, I mean, she's obviously studied the living world, but she's never felt it from the inside before, and now she does, and now she can. So yeah, one morning she wakes up with a knowledge and a just emotional thing inside that she's never really felt before. She probably heard legends about this, but no crossroad walker has had this for a very long time. So you're not entirely sure whether this is wishful thinking or what. So, yeah, you guys get up in Aloy's bubble of protection, which is probably the only thing keeping Aloy from freaking right the fuck out right now. And, looking like that.
For once, her attention is Probably the first time since stepping over the line, her attention is focused inward rather than outward in their surroundings.
Sorry, what exactly does Reba look like now?
Like this.
Oh,
Thoughtful, indrawn, a little bit.
Inward. And a little confused. Not concerned so much as sort of very much exaggerated internal WTF. But not worry, not in a worrying way. Not like something's actively wrong. It's just something's different.
Jillian's gonna let her think. Go check on the horses.
The horses are, as per usual, kind of skitty, but they're coping.
They're in the. Or are they sitting inside the
Yeah.
first layer, which is that wide area of fog?
Yeah. What about Aloy? Is Aloy going to...
I'm in order to prevent freaking out, I'm up to my eyeballs in just the sketching of things and mathing out equations for all kinds of inventions. Like I have gone through about half the book by this point. There's pages and pages of random shit, of a whole, essentially, chapters worth on the ship that just cuts off abruptly and then just veers off into muffin upgrades before veering into gun upgrades, before veering back around to the ship idea, and then going into things like laundry machines for 6 pages.
Somebody who's not focused entirely inward probably would want to tell Aloy to pace herself, because if she runs out of paper, it's not like they can stop by a local general store to get more.
Yup.
Jillian eventually looks back to the sound of furious scribbling.
So,
Steps up behind her, clears her throat loudly.
All right, I'm just shrieking and shooting 3 feet straight up in the air.
That finally got Reba's attention.
and Muffin is just boop in this tone that suggests if it had been anything bad, I would have warned you a long time ago. Boop.
I'm just going to cuddle Muffin.
Boop. And Muffin tilts head over to Jillian. Boop boop. You know. Okay, I think she can talk now. What? Kinda.
Breathe, Aloy.
You're going to tell me that now?
Boop.
We have been out here 2 weeks!
Boop.
I know, Aloy. I know it's hard.
Boop 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 boop.
I'm just gonna go back into my books now, thank you.
Boop. Box modes next to Aloy, like, I'm trying to show her I'm protecting her, but she still keeps freaking out. Boop.
You'll be all right, Aloy.
Muffin, it's okay. The math isn't right here. I don't blame Aloy for being a little on edge.
Boop. Clearly, Muffin feels a little bit, like, undervalued at this point. Boop.
I'm basically scooching as close to Muffin as I can.
Boop. Boop, 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 boop.
Like Thank you, Muffin.
Right. So,
Boop. Muffin is the only one who is showing any curiosity about Reba right now.
I'm like halfway to going back down the rabbit hole.
Hearing the curious boop, Reba just kind of smiles a little.
Buffett actually nudges Aloy's head with his own. Just pay attention. There's something to pay attention to. It might take your mind off things. Boonk.
Yeah. head
Yeah,
on a
I'm
swivel.
not sure. I'm not sure how much of this is wishful thinking and how much of this is actual, but I know something I didn't know before and might be able to do something I don't think anyone of my kind has been able to do for quite some time. Crossroad walkers, I mean. Hang on, let me okay. Stands up.
Demonstration very much in order. Yes,
Yeah, hang on, give me a second. And she'll oh wait, we took Spot with us, didn't we? Or did we leave Spot behind?
No, you took Spot.
We did take Spot. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you took Spot, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Spot wouldn't have. I don't think Spot would have taken over an answer anyway. Okay, in which case she'll glance down at Spot and be like, and beast shape into Panther. Just and she's kind of blink.
And Spot is just bigger predator.
shaking her head at Spot like.
And Muffin is just head tilt. Boop. Muffin apparently has object permanence.
Meanwhile, I've gone full like scribble. Like the equations are just starting. Conservation of mass is somewhere in there.
Jillian
It's when, now she realizes, wait, I can't talk. And
given that you have panther claws that you're not used to, that you do scritch and
okay. Closes his eyes again, kind of tenses up a little, and boom. Back to standing form, standing Reba, just
and
like
Spot is just puffed up. What?
Sorry, Spot. It's me. It was me the whole time. I
Oh,
apologize.
how is that better?
Well, I'm not. You're safe. And you're going to be safe. You're going to stay safe. Apparently that's a thing I can do now. And I think if the visions were correct and I read them right, I can do a few other creatures or animals as well. You just kind of inspired me to try that one first. I apologize for scaring you.
Math in book gets more complicated.
If the visions showed me an owl, a turtle, and also a bear, and boy, am I glad I didn't go with bear first.
Bears aren't always carnivores.
This is true. Probably should have gone with turtle first. Well, anyway. Although it's turtle, not tortoise, so probably not here.
To be fair, some turtles can manage well enough and you figure that you're something that could manage between both.
Yeah.
Just on the basis that you're a fucking magic turtle. You just needed something that could swim.
So that's the thing. Anyway.
Muffin is just head tilted in the general direction of Jillian. Trying to figure out the reaction. Just boop.
Jillian,
I
not exactly weirded out, but it's.
No, I think it. I think yeah. To be fair, it's that still qualifies as weirded out. It's just not freaked out. There's a difference between weirded out and freaked out. Weirded out is okay. That's weird, and I don't know what to do with this. Freaked out is freaking out.
She's weirded out, but she's not threatened by it, which is good.
Yes, we know what happens when Jillian feels threatened by something.
Bullets. I
Reba,
have so many questions.
I don't have
Where
any
does
answers.
the extra mass go?
Aloy.
Thank you, Jillian. I don't have answers. I'm just me.
More. And oh god, it's going into like
Give me
Shapes.
an intelligence check.
and lots of this is all in the process of trying to solve for X.
I know what she's trying to do. Just give me an intelligence check.
Yeah.
There are
15.
there are a couple of different theories, but you'd have to weigh Reba in her various shapes to determine whether your various theories are correct. And you probably also want, like, blood samples, skin samples, hair samples, or, feather scale, whatever she happens to have in whatever form she's in. And there's not enough. There's not enough data here.
Aloy, we need to get some
will
food
be
sorted
needing
and
more
get
data.
moving.
What do you mean by more data?
Samples.
No. She did lean forward, and it was that Bugs Bunny meme no expression on her face. Just, no.
Although, on the other hand, Aloy, you're moderately intelligent. Hair sheds, and you guys fight shit so much she bleeds anyway.
That was what the oh well expression was about. It was sort of an oh well, but at the same time, anyone with a decent insight can tell the oh we'll see.
Yeah,
Hiding
given
in
her.
there.
Oh yeah, no, that's and Reva's just like fine.
So, yes.
Just not now.
Or I have permission, just not now.
Yeah.
Like, I get that much. Just want to pencil it in.
Can we do this when we're not here?
100%. This environment taints samples.
Guess no sample taking from anything here.
Or
I
anything.
wasn't talking about from here.
Still need to get the point.
I'm talking about from someone.
Who is here?
No. Jillian clearly thinks I'm trying to take samples from the rocks and dirt in this pile of creepy and nonsense. What the hell is that noise?
I think it would be a temptation.
It's not.
Okay. That's good.
Says the one.
I'm more likely to shoot it than you are.
Jillian goes to get out breakfast.
I'm just gonna leave that alone.
Yeah, your supplies are starting to look a little threadbare. This is taking longer than you would have expected it to take. But I mean, Reba's not overly worried because she can hunt if she has to. There'd have to be steps taken to make sure that whatever was caught or foraged wasn't. But she has the herbs and things for that. Jillian isn't worried because the Lord sent you guys out here and not gonna let you starve to death. Aloy, on the other hand, is looking at the food supplies and, yeah, city girl.
And there goes another entire page.
Boop.
Aloy, you're gonna run out of paper.
Yeah,
At that
thank you.
rate.
I was about
Speaking
to
of
say-
running out of things, and I'm just pointing at the stocks.
Do you forget what I do, or one of the things I can do?
I factored you into the math.
We'll be all right, Aloy.
Pardon the phrasing, Jillian, but I don't think Aloy has very much faith in us.
What?
Spot is dragging a rather large jackrabbit with antlers.
Oh my
You
goodness.
you haven't seen a jackalope in a very long time.
Didn't know those were this far south. Wait, east, west. Just focus it for a second. Going, okay, north, okay, yeah. West. Okay.
It just drops it in front of Reba. I know you can probably hunt better than me now that you can be a bigger cat, but I'm still good at it.
Very much so.
And then you figure out that it's now no longer fear, it's bigger predator must show up.
I love you. You are the best.
And now you have breakfast so that the lady with the glass things over her face doesn't panic too much more for a little while.
And as Spot here just put it, we have breakfast. So Aloy, breathe.
Just scribble in one more variable. Solve.
It's still not it's still not quite enough, but the jackalope's bigger than the average jackrabbit. And as Reba has more heard because she hasn't really seen much in the way of jackalope, their fur makes some fairly good mittens.
Yeah, so Reba will proceed to prepare all the necessary stoofs to both eat it and capture what she can of the fur and probably the antlers to a degree. I don't know how big they are.
Not huge, but you could probably make arrow points out of them.
Yeah, that was my thought, or maybe some sort of a hole punch just to have on hand.
Yeah, all really, but
yeah.
Make me a survival check.
Sure. 18.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's a little bit more awkward than you're used to, but you've skinned things before, so you get all the fur, you get the antlers, and you even manage to get there's a big claw in front of each of their front paws, because they're bigger burrowers than the average jackrabbit, so they've got this almost really big sort of digging thorn claw in each of their front paws. So you managed to extract those.
Nice. Wow.
And you get more sort of for a jackrabbit, so there.
Gotcha.
But and you've obviously got and cleaned all the innards for Spot.
Oh yeah, he gets a nice little pile.
No. So yes, breakfast is roast sacred herb jackalope. Which are interesting tasting little buggers. They're very gamey, but funnily enough, the herbs while they purify do also smooth out the flavor, so they're still gamey, but they're more venison-y kind of gamey.
Yeah, I was thinking in my head. I was thinking they'd be a little bit gamier than you'd think, because the weight of the antlers and they're a little bigger, so everything would be a little denser.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, the herbs you have to make sure there's no taint in them do complement as well, because your people is smart.
You two can thank Spot.
Thank you, Spot.
The flop. She has good hands. Purr.
Scritch it, Spot.
Yeah. You can probably tell from the purring you have good hands. According to Spot.
And Aloy is trying something new. Everything is still creepy, but this is new and it's kind of nice and you know.
Yeah. One hand has food, the other is like, okay, Muffin, can you help me hold the book for more?
And actually, Muffin actually takes a metal pod, skids the book away. Boop!
Good point. Thank you.
And he goes and box forms on the book.
Kudos on you
Fine.
Kudos, Aloy, for building Muffin so wise. Bravo.
Boop, boop.
That's why I function as well as I do.
You're
And all of a sudden, Reba's like, "What? Did she take every bit of common sense she had and then put it in Muffin?"
so now I'm wondering, if you don't mind me asking, did you take the common sense you had and put it in Muffin, or did you sort of mold it around the negative space where the common sense would have been, and put what would have been there to Muffin? I'm just wondering. Either way, you did marvelous
The
work.
the math was the second part.
Ah.
I'll be perfectly fair. Aloy does not have the remotest idea of why Muffin is sentient. Muffin was supposed to have basic problem-solving skills.
She's not mentioning that part.
Yeah,
Muffin.
Muffin was supposed to have basic pathfinding, and, protect. But apparently something happened in the math that she still doesn't understand. And half of her nightly, I'm thinking on something so I don't freak out, but I don't have it in me to invent anything right now, is going back over the numbers and trying to figure out what in the numbers gave Muffin a soul.
Given Reba's modifier to her insight is a 7, all told, she's probably
Give me an insight check.
sure. Either way, wow, that was a low roll, but either way, she's not gonna.
She's not going to say anything, but she does have a feeling. I mean, she knows how Aloy works. Aloy is more. Weirdly, for someone who flails as much as she does, Aloy is more regimented and she wants to understand why. And when she understands why, then she does the thing. If she knew how she made Muffin the way she made Muffin, if she had the remotest idea, she wouldn't stop telling you about it.
Exactly. So Reba's just gonna kind of, well, regardless, Aloy, wonderful work. Muffin, you are a marvel.
Boop boop. Shwoop. It relaxes into box mode, but then this sticks up the head a little bit. It tilts head in Aloy's direction and then just does, as if to just reassure her, boop. Boop. Boop.
Prideful beaming. Like, I am having an absolute delight moment right now.
Yes, but does pause long enough to look at the not eaten yet bit of jackalope and she's going, boop. Boop.
Right.
Boop.
Finish your
And
breakfast.
back to food.
How are you doing, Jillian? I mean, aside from the obvious.
I'll be all right.
That's not what I asked.
All there is to it. We just need to get moving, and the sooner we do what we've come here to do, the sooner we can turn back around.
Looks at Jillian, considers.
Yeah. And Spot
All right.
Spot just sort of goes, she's never going to talk about how she feels unless you get a lot of that fermented smelling stuff in her. And even then. So,
Yeah. Reba just gives Spot a look like, well, you're not wrong. and just
Jillian eyes Spot.
It just flumps back and just it's sort of it's in what Reba knows as I'm sucking up for attention, but I'm being comforting. I just get scritches out of the bottom or out of the bargain. Poof.
Get Spot some more scritches.
Purr.
so yeah, Reba we'll just let that lie. She'll get up and go check on the horses in her fashion. Literally, part of it is looking at them, how they're doing physically, but also literally just flat out going, "How are you doing? You okay? Everything's all right?"
Creepy, 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 creepy.
Doing everything she can to reassure him as much as possible, given the circumstances, which isn't very, but she'll take what she can get.
Oh, Jillian's horse is very much. I trust her, but it's still creepy. And then there was the male. Not sure if he was human, but it just burned me.
Yeah, she'll check on that and see.
Yeah, I mean it's a well done brand. It's done by a professional herder and wrangler of horses.
Yeah.
Reba's is just, I don't like it here, right?
I know. I'm sorry that we're here. We had to come here as long as we did.
If it was anybody else, I'd be biting right now.
I wouldn't blame you, but please don't. But thank you.
And the mechanical one is weird. It's made of metal. It smells funny.
I'm not arguing that point because, boy, you are right. But he's useful and good for what he is.
Not a horse.
No, a mule-ish. I think that's about as close as I can.
Acts too human for that. It's like a cross between a mule, a human, and a dog.
Yeah, that's about accurate.
It's weird. Those three things should not be all in one thing.
Well, they are, and it's on our side. And as soon as we can, we'll leave. But we have to do this.
And you have no idea how long this is going to take. How many suns?
It's already taken longer than I thought, so no, I do not.
At least you're honest about it. I still don't like it.
I don't either, but thank you. I'll do everything I can to take care of you as best as I can. Always.
That's about the best you're gonna get at this point. It's been,
Oh yeah.
It's been 2 hard weeks for 2 now very skittish horses.
Oh yeah. So lots of rub down and brushing for the both of them. And then after a bit she'll finish that up and come on back over. Yeah, we definitely need to get a move on and because Aloy, you're not the only one who's freaked out by all of this. I mean, I can deal with this better. I mean, this is what I do, but it's not exactly fun. But yeah. At the same time, though, we don't want to rush. We don't want to push because, well, that's how you get stupid. So, expedient but careful, I think, are the watchwords.
And then Muffin gets up and starts nudging Aloy's notebook back to her for the packing up. Because clearly, the sooner...
Flip it open, page through. I still don't entirely know what this is, and I'm just showing Muffin the washing machine.
Boop.
Shut it, put it away.
And on you go. It's a while of riding, but after a little while, probably around about the noontide hour, and that's the weird thing about here. For all you can generally tell, what time it is by, by the sun, because you can still see it. The light from it doesn't seem to get here as well as it should. It always seems a bit dim here. It's like it's overcast, but it isn't, because you can see the sun, and it's right up there. And as you're riding through largely featureless, except for the odd kind of weird-looking rock formation, which always gets Aloy a little bit paranoid-y kind of thing. In riding across this largely featureless wasteland, you see little dot that's clearly not a rock formation way off in the distance.
What the shit? I'm gonna pull the thunder cannon and just scope.
Give me a perception check, Aloy, because it's too far for the average eye to see, but I'll give you a perception if
Yeah, this is a bare bones scope anyway, so 14.
Yeah.
It's a cross. With a person? Do we want to get anywhere near that?
We have to take a look. We'll be careful. Jillian looks and left and right and backwards.
Well, give me a perception check. I mean, obviously the back of the way you came, there isn't really anything beyond the way back there. Some of the little bits of scrub you managed to find to have breakfast and things in. Left and right, you're not really seeing much of anything, but it might be that whatever is there is too far off, but that means it's not really going to be a threat to you anyway. And ahead, there's just that little dot of black. Probably, given Reba's role for that one, whatever and whoever nailed them there, they might get more clues to that as they're investigating. But whoever did that, if Aloy is indeed seeing what she thinks she saw, is probably in that direction, maybe a bit more north, but you'd have to survey and track and things. But wherever it is, it's not from behind you, or you would have passed it by now. But all three of you understand that if there is someone out there doing this to people, if this is the thing, somebody had to have done it. You can't crucify yourself.
Jillian looks to Reba and then nudges her horse to
Reba just
pick
nods.
up the pace a little bit.
Yeah. It's faster now that you actually have a direction and you're not scanning. But yeah, as you approach, there is definitely a fairly rough-hewn wooden cross. And nailed to it is a young man, probably just the younger side, 18. Hasn't been there very long. Not desiccated long, but not overly desiccated long anyway, but enough for there to still be some meat, but it's largely jerky-like. The local scavengers have been at him. Reba can identify but a little too high for the coyotes, but the vultures have definitely had a bit of a heyday. Is dressed in simple farmer's clothes, what's left of them, but the elements have been, kind to a point. I mean, he's not runny, but this is the kind of weather that's good for drying meat. So that's what you have. The hair is a rather indeterminate color at this juncture. There's no eyes to look at. A lot of the softer meat of his face is missing. But he's been crucified properly through the wrists and through the feet on a sort of a pedestal, so he's not in any danger of falling off unless or until more things are at the dried meat that is the rest of him. This doesn't mean as much to Reba as it does to Jillian, but the indeterminately colored hair is partially brushed back from his face by a crown of what looks like barbed wire. Somebody did the full bad joke. And they did this to, effectively, somebody who's not that far off, kid.
Jillian takes some rope to lasso and sway it to the top so she can pull it down with the help of her horse.
Okay, if you're you, well, okay, give me a dex check. Now is a good time to use that particular ability that you've picked up, because as you feel this thing about to miss, that's 2d4 if memory serves me.
Yep.
It should have missed. Both of you see it should have missed. But then it didn't. And Jillian knows exactly why. The Lord guided her hand. Obviously, there's nothing to be said until you pull the crucifix down, but with the help of your horse, it doesn't take a roll or anything. It was just actually getting the rope up there. That creak thump.
Jillian takes another careful look around the surroundings before she dismounts and steps up to the cross.
Doesn't seem to be anyone out there at the moment, but give me another perception check now that you've moved elsewhere. You're not sure because there's still that late afternoon / coming up to twilight gloom in the air, despite it being, probably now about 2 in the afternoon. But there might be a farmhouse sort of off to the northwest. Not the direction you came from, but it's a long way away, and there's also possibly closer to due northwest a town. Probably further away than the farmhouse. But nothing in the immediate area apart from some vultures who have been circling around the area for a little while and are now going, wait a minute, what are you doing to our snack? Are any of you about to die?
Jillian, make sure none of the vultures look like they're gonna swoop before she.
There's too many living people, but they're circling. They're interested.
And then
We have their
she'll,
attention. We don't have their focus.
sure hoping they're normal vultures. Then she takes her knife and starts poking away the bits of clothing and doing a search of the body.
Do you want me to take a pot shot? I'm just gesturing in the general direction of Bob.
No.
Investigation check from Jillian.
No noise unless we need to, Aloy.
Yeah, you're not finding much. I mean, this was a farm kid. It didn't seem to have a terrible lot to begin with. And if there was... You're not really an expert at what sorts of things might be done to a body before it is reduced to this. For something that level of investigation, you'd probably want Aloy.
There's a farmstead up that way by the looks of it. Probably came from
You
there.
want me to give him a once-over, Jillian?
Yeah.
Investigation
Jillian
check
I'm gonna
from...
approach.
Jillian will keep watch.
Out comes the sonic screwdriver.
Oof.
Yeah. Aloy finds a lot more because she is investigation queen. As well, yeah, it was harder for Jillian to tell because of the damage already done to this kid's wrists, but some of those markings very much reminiscent of rope burns. There's some lines across what's left of the shoulders that if she gets Muffin to nudge this guy up a little bit, can see is lash marks down the back. This kid was extensively tortured before he was hung up. He was badly beaten, redressed, nailed up, and left to die. There is also, because that was a very good roll, still poking around, and it's hard to see because his body's been left out in the elements, but partially because it was covered by a bit more clothing. There's a brand burned into this kid, sort of low on the chest. You don't know whether it was an accident or something deliberate and kind of horrible. And it's a cross, but it appears to be upside down.
Hell? Okay,
What? Jillian?
is this a St. Peter's cross, or is this something completely messed up?
I'm giving this one to Jillian because she's the only one with any kind of significant religious background of any kind. This is something completely fucked up. Given what they did, this is bad. This is incredibly bad.
So I'm just gonna start going through a run through of all the various. We got rope burn. We've the entire backside here is worked over.
Yeah, they again
Whip at absolute minimum, probably other things.
Given that roll, she's also seeing some weirdly almost almost surgical wounds, which cut both of his hamstrings.
And I mean, look, and I'm just gonna point at, grab, shove, point. Hamstrings, nada.
No, it was a sign for me to find.
Well, I know you don't particularly like when I do it, but we can ask him some questions if we
Yeah.
want to be out here that long.
It's been pretty quiet thus far.
We need to find out how far ahead they are of us and what direction they're going in. The boy was probably might have very well still been alive when they left him here.
Aloy knows he very definitely was.
Oh, that's 100% fact. Also, another thing we might want to know is who precisely did this,
Yeah.
because
Who?
it did town in the middle of Creepy Land. I don't think that place is entirely solvent.
We want to find out who did it. We want to find out who this kid is, and potentially why they did, if the kid knows. So that's
And then where
3.
they went afterwards.
Well, that depends on the who, and I mean, remember Reba had the crash course in the best ways to deal with speak with dead, and that always means leave a question or two in case.
The why is to taunt me.
How do you know?
Oh, well, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
exactly.
it is.
How do you know that? Not
String
everything.
up the boy like Christ brand him with an inverted cross? Who else
Yeah,
could that be a
Not
sign
every
for?
white people.
involved
White
with
people
God
be
is
fucked
about
up.
being
Yes, I know that, but we've been on the trail for 2 weeks.
You haven't, but that's the thing. You haven't really been on a trail because there wasn't a trail.
Okay, that's true. We've been out here for 2 weeks. It can't just be coincidence.
Well, we won't know unless we ask.
Yes, you
Reba.
asked something of them.
Reba. On one level, she might be right, because you don't know where the thing that did that to Isaac came from. So it could be related, but you're starting to, I mean, given your +7 to insight, she is...
snarky.
Well, no, it's more that it's starting to get a little worrying how much this is entirely about Isaac when this is about some poor dead kid. And how is her white boy god gonna feel about that? And it's entirely possible that her white boy god brought her out here to A, look at the source of where some of this is coming from, or at least get closer to it, and B, deal with some of the fuck up going on in supposedly his name. White boy god be fucked up like that.
Yeah, okay. We came out here originally because we were going after Isaac and whoever that was.
Doctor.
The doctor. But we've gone after one thing and stumbled across completely different things. Maybe you were, and by extension we were, called out here to deal with whoever or whatever did this in presumably your white boy god's name. He apparently might not particularly like that.
No, he would not.
Now, I'm not saying it's not related, but at the same time, I'm also cautioning, if you assume everything is, you might miss the things that aren't, and you could end up in a world of hurt. All I'm saying.
All right.
Don't
Ask
count
me
your cards before they hatch. So, we're going to ask definitely who this kid is, because he needs to be sent on. Who did this to him, and why they did this, assuming the kid knows. Beyond that, potentially where they went, potentially where they came from. Any other ideas? Aloy?
And Spot is sort of family.
Yeah.
Family. Where's his family?
Well,
Wouldn't
yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. We could ask specifically where his family is as well.
if you need to.
Right. Assuming we don't get that from who he is. Although who he is, he's probably just going to say his name and that's it. Come to think of it.
Seems
good.
awfully likely he came from that farmstead or the town further up ahead.
Well, yeah, we can ask. So, thank you, Spot. That's a good call. Good. Yeah, very good. Okay. Right.
Well,
This is going to take.
yeah, this is going to take a while in game as well as in character. So we'll take our break a little early because I don't want to start this on because we're nearly at that time anyway.
Oh,
so,
yes, we are.
So all things considered, let's get everybody having break and everything, and when we come back, we will deal with the questions and whatever else comes of this bit of fun. And we're back. Looking at the still nailed to the cross dead, probably white boy. Do we want to do anything about the nails, or are we just going to leave him nailed there when we talk
That's
to
up
him?
Reba.
Jillian, I'm assuming we're wanting to put him to rest after all of this?
Jillian looks at how tough the ground looks.
Now we roll the hand of fate. You'd need to make a cairn or something. You'd need to find sufficient rocks for a cairn. The ground in this area is hard packed crap.
We're gonna have to burn him, and I'll say a few words.
Well, we don't want
As
to.
much as after.
Help me. Let's get him off
All right.
of this first. If you're gonna do that.
Given that Aloy has tools and you all know more or less what you're doing, it takes a little while and you probably do more damage as you're doing it, but he's dead. Not much worse you can do to him. You do manage to get the nails out and him off the cross without removing limbs.
Right.
Because
Okay.
you're at least trying to be respectful of the poor man.
Right. Okay. So just lay him here. All right. Let me get ready and do this. Keep a watch because I need to concentrate. This is gonna take a minute or quite a few minutes. And yeah, it's she's gonna do it as a full-on ritual.
So 10 minutes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. We're keeping an eye out.
Boop. Boop. And quietly, in deference to Reba's saying I need to concentrate. So, you can just very quietly and easy to tune out here. Boop. Boop. Boop.
So 10 minutes later, she burns the appropriate things and makes the appropriate gestures and says the appropriate words and casts Speak with Dead on the body.
And as the ritual hits its culmination point, you see that desiccated chest just rise as... It's never pleasant, but given how dry the bones are, you can hear crunch.
So Reba just kneeling next to him. Who did this to you?
Preacher man and his companion.
Who were you?
Brent Setterton.
Why did the preacher man and his companion do this?
They came for my sister Cassie. Said she was a witch. I tried to stop them. I was declared heretic.
Where are you from? Or, damn it, I already said it.
Farmstead over yonder.
Where is the preacher man and his companion?
In the church. I think that's all of them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But that last answer was like, the fuck kind of question is that? As the last of the air gets out of his chest, and that's the
I
end.
should have worded that a little better, but confirmation that they're in the same general direction.
And at the very least, if they took his sister, the living in the farmstead might know more. And more to the point, they might actually be friendly.
So we have a name, we have the who, we have the why, we have multiple names actually. We have Cassie and
Brent,
right here. Brent, yeah.
the Settertons.
Yep. So I guess we're going to the farmstead.
Yep.
We've done everything we can. I've done everything I can. You made mention, Jillian, of burning.
Jillian's using
'Cause,
gritting
yeah,
her teeth, glaring at the ground for a moment before she looks up. Yeah, burning will be best.
yeah, your other option is burial,
well,
and that's not going to last too long out here.
Yeah, and I don't think.
We need pickaxes and Lord knows what else. And
Yeah, this ground is. Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah, this ground is not loose enough for me to do anything with.
Well, Aloy, this one's yours. It's sort of okay, so we're gonna need a fuel source or something. I mean, I suppose we could break up the cross, and I have accelerants.
Muffin, let's break this up.
Boop, boop. Crunch. Wood splinters. Crunch. 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 And just Muffin headbutting this cross. And eventually it's largely splinters and some chunks. It's not much of a pyre, but it's what you got at the moment, unless Aloy has something to make things burn hotter or faster. Which, yes, she does. That's one thing you haven't been using very much of.
Yup, I'm gonna get that stuff. I'm gonna get the wood appropriately arranged in a way that hopefully I know to achieve maximum whoosh as quickly as possible. And then I'm going to apply my accelerants.
Give me a... Give me a straight up intelligence check.
Bink.
That is the worst. Reba can see this. This is the worst goddamn fire you've ever seen in your life.
Oh.
Reba, give me a survival check.
I was about to say, Aloy, move over.
Aloy, move over.
I'm already getting out of the way. It's like, yeah, this thing isn't even holding steady normally. I'm just gonna get out of the way and let the person who does fires on the regular deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, you've had to do this before, so you can do it not only sturdily but respectfully. The problem is there's still not really enough wood for the usual pyre, so all you can do is hope that Aloy has science.
Yeah. Well, we don't really have enough wood, but I've done what I can, and this body is so dry, having burned yeah. Anyway,
That'll
there's,
be enough.
well, there's not. Have you ever burned a body?
Once or
Muffin,
twice.
deploy the case.
Yeah.
Gee, poof.
Well, it's a lot drier than they normally would be, or at least the ones I've
Go
burned.
through
So
it.
this may not.
And yeah, you've got. I mean, mostly
Aloy?
you've got kerosene.
Work your
While
work your
they're
magic.
talking, I'm just going to be setting
Work
it
your
up.
Work your magic.
Well, as you're saying, Aloy, because you've been talking with Jillian with the whole, have you ever burned a body? And while you were doing that, and you turned, Aloy, work your magic. Oh.
Yeah, it's like work you. Oh, never mind. Okay.
Then I'm going to back up, pull Thunder Cannon, pop it open, shift it to fire.
Yeah, you guys haven't actually seen her do this, so it's clear she wants to do a thing.
Yeah, like Reba was about to be like, oh, okay.
To be fair, it's not a moving target. And it's more of a test run anyways.
No, I'm not actually going to shoot. I'm going to say someone with a good deal more funerary authority. I'm just going to hand it to Jillian.
Just start the fire, please, Aloy.
All right. And I'm going to set it off.
And the bullet does appear to be blazing as it hits the woof. I mean, you saw her tinkering a couple of weeks ago, but you haven't seen her actually
Still.
test it yet.
Jillian gives it a second to make sure it won't.
Oh,
Nothing will burst up anymore.
no, it's. I mean, there was basically it was, and it hit the kerosene and woof, all of a sudden fire, and there's not enough. There's not anything else to catch except for you guys, and you're standing well back. So
Jillian takes a small step closer. From ashes we come, and to ashes we return. Grant him the peace that he has earned, my lord, and we will do what we can for his family. Amen.
boop.
Petting Muffin.
Jillian will wait for like half a minute.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty clear that as Reba was as Reba had been saying, the corpse is very dry, and it's not like the fire is going to set anything else ablaze where it is. And I mean, the original Woomph took most of it. It's not even going to burn much longer. And almost everything else is, I mean, it's going to go to ash, smolder for a while, and then pfft. So it's safe enough to leave well enough alone. And on to horses and Muffin. And
So we headed to Farmstead?
Yeah. Probably safer than the town further beyond it.
Well, yeah, I mean, his family should know, or be let know.
Absolute minimum, yes.
So Brent Setterton, S.U. Setterton. Right.
It's
I
a bit
hate this part.
it's a bit of a ride. I mean that the farmstead in the distance really was only a tiny speck. And as you're traveling, the earth does get a little less hard packed, sun dried, and just plain crunchy. Not the kind of thing you could farm easily, but the kind of thing that you could farm, even if it's only, as it seems to be, as you're approaching the minimal field around the farmstead. Corn, beans. They seem to have attempted what might or might not be tomatoes, but you can't really tell because they've tried. They've tried so hard. And yeah,
Reba's got a good face looking at the poor tomatoes, just like, oh, you poor dears. Oh.
I mean, they are trying, and Reba can just see this one little tiny tomato. You do realize that Druidcraft can actually do something about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Gonna, as we're going by, I'm gonna do what I can with it to help them along, as it were.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I can get away with, but yeah, I will.
Druidcraft is a pretty spiffy thing. I mean, it makes plants grow out of nowhere. So, coaxing them to, it's okay, I know it's a little dry, but, and you see the leaves start to unfurl and unwilt, and that one little tomato just, and you see another couple that might be starting, and now that they've been given kind of the nudge they need, it's more, it's like Reba vaccinated them against the soil going bad around them.
I don't know how long that'll last, but it'll help. Because she's never done that in the wastes.
And, not very long from there at all, you find a small... It's a beaten up old farmstead, but they're trying so hard. It's a little reminiscent of some of the more upkept houses out in that town by the sanitarium, but it's clearly not a regular... It's clear that they've done something with it recently enough, but that they only have enough money to do so much. So, I mean, the outer walls have been whitewashed recently, you think? And Aloy can tell that window was recently repaired. And they're trying. They're trying so very, very hard. I mean, the wastes aren't a new thing, but it's possible that this farmstead has been in their family, and they're keeping it. But currently, there's nobody outside because after all that rigmarole, it's coming on to evening, and dark falls fast out here. And apparently nobody wants to be out after sunset. It's not...
So,
the sun's not quite down yet, but...
with it being as dim as it is. So Reba will just look at the door, at Jillian, and just sort of...
Jillian waits 30 seconds to see if any faces are in the windows.
Perception check. You don't know. You're not seeing anybody, certainly. Anybody else?
Well... Wow.
Blood people asking me to perception things instead of actively poking around, carefully examining. in the physical is yeah, being aware of my surroundings. No, examining my surroundings. Yes.
Reba is the one who sees the curtains twitch and two pairs of very small eyes at about the level of the windowsill, but clearly kind of hanging themselves up. Identical, almost, eyes. Very small children. And then they kind of vanish.
Lean over to Jillian. Looks like there's a couple of kids. Twins, I think. Either way, they're very small, but there is someone home. That's all I saw.
Why don't you two wait here? Don't want to spook them.
Yeah, they're already spooked.
Exactly.
So
And she dismounts, slowly goes up to the door to knock.
When Jillian knocks, the door opens a crack a little suspiciously quickly. So it's pretty clear that somebody was watching. And she does find herself looking down the barrel of a shotgun.
Easy.
The
Easy now.
shotgun is being held by a older man, maybe in his 30s. Hard to tell with hard living in the wastes and everything. Skin's lighter than Reba's, but definitely darker than yours. And the hair is kind of this not very tightly curled black mess, but loosely curled black mess. And some of the facial features are familiar enough. This man's family was not entirely white. And he's looking at the white lady on his porch. What you want?
Talk to you.
Who they?
They're my friends. I've been traveling out here and we found your son.
It clearly takes everything this man has not to pull the trigger. But he actually takes a minute to think about what you're saying and how. And he lowers the shotgun. Y'all better come inside. You don't need to be out here when the sun goes down.
She looks back.
Reba dismounts and walks her horse over.
You want to put those in the barn, you?
Thank you.
That looks back at Muffin, who's following Aloy around him. Boop, boop. Well, I think we can fit that in through the back door. It's not going in the parlor. It ruined the carpet.
You heard that, Aloy?
Roger, Roger.
And to be fair, Jillian and Reba being more or less insightful, Reba more than Jillian, but still, this man is not fazed by Muffin. You have not yet met anybody who was completely unfazed by Muffin. And whose first words were not, "What is that thing?" but "I think we can fit it in the kitchen, but it's not going in the parlor because it'll wreck the carpets."
Yeah, as Reba's
Is
walking
there
the
any like
horses.
fencing?
There's kind of a fence around, but you can follow the fence to the back.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that and then just having Muffin boing over into the.
Oh no! You're inside the fence line when you. So you don't have to. He doesn't have to boing.
As Reba's walking the horses away, hearing the exchange about the bringing Muffin in through the back, just sort of looks over at Jillian with an raised eyebrow, like, "You caught that, right?" Like expression on her face, just all right. It wasn't just so. It's not just me. Okay, not just me thinking it. Good. All right. And yeah, she'll take both the horses with her and see to them, and then come back.
In the barn, there's like 2 cows, a mule, a fair bit of space for other horses, and one older horse, but that horse used to be a very damn good horse. You know, this horse was built for speed and stamina. And make me a perception check.
One moment. 18.
These horses like this, law enforcement, range riders, or the kinds of people who take bounties on really nasty shit in the wastes. You're muted.
She definitely makes note of that. But wanting to get back to the others quickly, she'll not do anything about it herself in there. I mean,
yeah. When Aloy comes through with the back, she finds 2 kids, maybe 4 or 5 years old, dark hair, lightish brown eyes. They can pass a hell of a lot more easily than their dad. Looking at the muffin. Hey, lady. There's a little boy and little girl. What's that?
This is Muffin. I made Muffin.
The little girl's like, I make muffins too. They don't look like that.
Hell is that? I made Muffin to be a friend.
Little boy is like, when they say you made friends, I don't think you mean it literally.
Yeah, well, I took it a little bit literally. And thus, Muffin.
Boop, 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 boop. They just look at each other in that clear sort of twin communication thing, and it's like, how come we get his name before yours?
Because, well, you asked about him first.
Well, we said hello, lady. So we said about you first.
Emily. That is very fair. My name is Aloy.
Little boy is, I'm Hank. And little girl is, Trudy. Woman comes through. Quite tall. Fairly spare. Dishwater blonde hair, just that mousy, not quite brown color. Tucked up haphazardly in a snood. Comes in and goes, yes, technically Hank and Gertrude, we were going for the Hansel and Gretel thing, but we didn't want to sound too foreign. We were trying not to call attention to ourselves, but that didn't work. If everybody wants to come into the kitchen with the strange mechanical mule thing, she's clearly waiting for everybody to gather before introductions are made, so when she hears the door come through again, the gentleman is looking at Reba and gives her that you know, that nod, that, yeah, I know you, kind of.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, she does this. Just,
And into it, it's again, it's shabby but well maintained. You know, there's only so much you can do with the lye soap and elbow grease, but she's doing everything she can. I'm Prudence, my husband Louis.
Jillian
Reba.
Kane.
Reba.
And and Hank is, and this is Aloy.
Yeah.
And that's Muffin. Boop 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 boop. Howdy to y'all. It's quite late. Prudence, can we? I can throw something together. It's all right. I'd recommend
We've
that.
got
I'd
some
recommend.
food we can offer.
No, Louis looks at you all like, if you came from where I think you came from, you ain't got much and you best be keeping it. We ain't got too much, but what we got enough to share. And we don't want to hear it until some food has got in us, because I have a feeling we're not going to want to eat otherwise, and we need to feed these two, because they're not going to be in the room when you start telling what you have to be telling us. Papa! None of that, you! I'm sure they got lots of other stories to tell.
Oh, so many.
Like how they come by. No, we know how she made friends and muffins, except they're in a big metal box and they boop. I know.
Glances at Aloy, just like,
And
just like.
The look on Louis' face is almost reminiscent. It really is just it's that look that it's that look that Rafe was wearing when it was it's Jonesy, except it's just oh god.
Which definitely gets a quizzical from Reba, but
Yeah, he gives a nod of later we have the kids and we gotta feed the
and
kids.
she just.
Yeah,
Prudence, I saw that you had some tomato plants. I kind of helped them along a little. So there's at least a few that might be pickable.
Thank you very much. I mean, anything you can do. The land's been worse and worse lately. That has some bearing on what we've all got to tell. But, and again, you'd think, farm wife.
Yeah, the fact that she's nonplussed by that is like...
No, nonplussed would be in. The fact that she's not nonplussed about it.
There you go. Is kind of... Okay. That's why Reba was a little hesitant to say anything, because she wasn't sure how it was going to be taken. But at the same time, if they're making food, there's ingredients that could be had. So,
I mean, honestly, if you can do anything about the corn, it's been coming out dry as anything and hardly fit for anything but cornmeal and horse feed.
well, if we're not really getting into much before eating, if you don't mind me going out with you, yeah, we could potentially see what we could do now.
Well, I was gonna leave you to the. I'm not sure how you do your thing, but if you can do anything, then I'll come out and do some picking. This spot's moderately safe, and I have a feeling it might be a little bit safer for the moment. I was looking a little bit at Jillian at that, but besides, I got to keep an eye on things here. I got potatoes, and they got to be poked at a little bit. And besides, I got to throw in some more bits and pieces. I hope y'all are okay with chicken, because it's what we got.
We haven't had much fresh meat in a long time. Safe
And Spot is...
Yeah.
for rabbit.
Jackalope, actually, but yes.
Oh, you want to be careful. You want to be careful about hunting those, is Louis. You ain't got much left of them. But and looks at Spot and goes, I do know though we got some jackrabbit, and if you want to help your people, do some hunting for the farmstead, I'm sure Strapping Cat likes yourself could go out and bring in a couple for stew. Spot is looking. He's like, he's treating me like I'm people. Why is he treating me like I'm people?
Spot? Go for it, if you like.
Yum.
Very confused cat.
You have made a confused but appreciative friend.
As long as my little ones, I can pet him a bit later.
Oh, he'll love that.
She spots a she.
She'll love that. I keep doing that. She'll love that. Out of character. I keep doing that.
Yeah, because Reba wouldn't. I know. Hank is like, you travel out there with a kitty. Why do you travel out there with a kitty?
Because Spot is one heck of a cat.
And Trudy is just sort of shakes Hank's shoulder a little. Kitty hunts for them. Kitty hunts for them. Okay.
Kitty caught us breakfast.
Yeah. Jackalope. Except Papa says that we're supposed to let there be more of them because there aren't many more of them, and he wants to take them out of here into someplace healthier, but the way it's just, you two have been listening indoors too much. You're not doing that tonight. Oh, Papa! Come on, there's limits, yes? You can hear some of the stories, but there's limits. Yes, Papa. 2 more years. You get to know these things more when you're 7. Yes, Papa.
Well, and I apologize. I mean, we didn't really have a choice and we didn't know, but principle.
And it's Prudence going, Hank, Trudy, why don't you take Miss Reba and show her the bean plants and the corn and get Hank going, can we show her the apple trees? I bet if she made the tomatoes grow, she could do something with the apple trees. If it won't tire her out too much. She's a guest. She's not a servant. You know that. Papa would tan your hide. No, but she offered to help, so she seems to know all the ways she could help.
I'll do what I can.
Come, we'll show you. It drags you out.
Yeah, it's no trouble. Over the shoulder.
But again, it's fairly clear to Reba that she wants to make damn sure that her kids do not see people with dark skin that way ever.
Yeah.
Looks at the two of you and says, I reckon that with the little ones out of the way, Louis, you want to take some of this to the parlor? I don't think I can hear this while I'm trying to cook. Of course, mon cher. Come on, you two, into the parlor. I think we need a little bit of a talk.
Of course.
And once you've settled down in, again, shabby but well-kept parlor, what did the bastards do to him?
Are you sure you want to know the details?
I kind of think I gotta.
They tortured him.
That much I know.
Crucified him. left him out there.
And they're swearing in. I don't think Jillian knows this language, but Aloy, given the way she would have traveled, that's French Creole.
We put him down. But
Yeah, might want to watch your phrase in there, sure. I know what you meant, but put him down is...
I'm sorry.
I understand. It's just hard. Even when you've seen what I have, it's hard.
I understand. We did what we could to see him off.
That was good of you. I have a feeling that maybe a bit more listened to from you, yeah?
The three of us tend to end up in places where there's trouble. That
Yeah,
trouble
but
needs to be resolved.
asking the Lord for a little bit of seeing off, listen more to you, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I know the kind of thing. But we'll talk about that later on. There's some things I also wanted to talk to you about without Prudence having to hear it again. I don't know how much you know. I know that shamans, like your friend, often I've met people with that kind of skill set, not quite in the way she does it, but they can speak with the dead. People who find themselves in the places where trouble it finds itself, they usually have a reason for speaking with the dead. How much do you know?
We know about the preacher and his posse, and that he accused your daughter of witchcraft.
Well, in all fairness, he wasn't entirely wrong. Skipped everybody else in the family. He holds up a hand and... It looks like a playing card, but it's wreathed in fire. I only have the occasional parlor trick. I've used it for good as much as I've been able to, but then I came in and I retired. Mostly. Tried to keep this area safe, but... Brent showed nothing. And Contrudy, they showed nothing. Cassie, we named her well. Full name is Cassandra. I don't know how much education any of you have. Looks at Aloy. Maybe you do. To be fair, Aloy had a classical lady's education. She knows Cassandra as the Greek seer.
Greek. Could only tell the truth. Nobody ever listened to it.
And saw the future, yes.
Yep.
Brent... I wasn't even here. I was out seeing to the borderlands. I've been trying to keep away from the preacher types. I didn't think anyone had noticed. I'm not sure how they did. But they came while she was out. Those tomato plants, they're hers. She's been trying with them ever since she was Aunt Trudy's age. She's got like one tomato every year. Ironic if we get more now. But Brent hit the creepy muscle with a shovel. That did not go over well. Hardly seemed to faze him, which is odd because Brent was quite a strapping boy. Unfortunately, when you say posse, really started with the preacher man and his... A few months ago, he comes in with... What was the thing? Okay, 6 months ago, new traveling preacher man comes into town. Our town is not doing so great, but we do okay. Until this comes in, poisons our preacher man, and starts telling the people that this, and gestures out the window and in the general direction of just the wastes and all that it is God remaking the world in his new image. Some of the things he did looked like miracles to the average person, and you and I know that that's not necessarily the case. A few months after that, 1 or 2 months after that, he starts coming with this pale, black-eyed son of a bitch.
Who's that?
You don't know. I'd have to ask for more details. And things get worse, and people are now scared enough to start believing it, or at least pretending that they do. So the posse that came here about 2-3 weeks ago, closer to 2, something like that. Most of them were the townsfolk. Brent didn't want to hit the townsfolk, so she hit the black-eyed bastard. Black-eyed bastard threw him across the back of his horse after smacking him around enough so he wasn't squirming anymore. So says Hank and Trudy, because they were watching the whole thing. At least nobody saw them. Not that they have any abilities that I know of anyway, but I still don't want them anywhere near any more of my children. I didn't know what they did with either of them. I may be good at what I do, but I can't take on a whole town. Not alone.
How many do you reckon that are willing to fight and kill for the preacher?
At this point, depending on how much he's been bending their brains, maybe all of them. I don't know. I haven't been back to town since. There's a good 150 souls. Most of them, I mean, there are some that are children, obviously, and some are the elderly, but that was the last time I checked. I have a feeling that it might be less, because any of those that spoke out at any point, how long do you think they lasted?
Yes, of course.
I haven't exactly made investigations. It's only a couple of weeks since they came for my elders. And I talked about going to at least sneak around, have a look, but Prudence, she said she couldn't bear to lose me too. What am I supposed to do? Leave her with the two? You're probably going to want to discuss this with your Reba.
The black-eyed man, can you describe him further? His clothing, the way he walked?
You're not gonna mind, and nobody's looking at the moment anyway. And actually does a silent image, and yeah, that's Isaac. That's most of what I got. Little bit of offensive, mostly illusions. Stupid. Used to use it to get myself a little bit ahead at card tables. And then I saw something I probably shouldn't have seen, and now now too, I suppose, I try and fight it back as much as I can. mostly I am good with guns. Many, many guns. And the occasional illusion and things with cards. I charge them with things, you see. Another card, basically out of his sleeve, either from his sleeve or from nowhere, so it looks like it's out of his sleeve. You can't really tell. And lightning seems to crackle around it.
Jillian's looking at the magic that she's.
Sorry, Cher, but we didn't all get nice, acceptable from the Lord stuff.
I'm sorry, I don't.
I know you don't. I know you don't mean
Jillian.
to, but I get it. Like I say, I've known people like you more than like you. You seem a little bit more live and let live, given you got a mad scientist and a shaman with you.
And I'm just going to produce the notebook. Jillian, remember, and I'm just holding open one of my pages and pages of, like, bonkers math at her.
Please put that away. I don't want my kids anywhere near that. They're curious enough as it is. And I don't have the resources here to teach them how to understand that, and would drive them crazy. There's a lot of strangeness in this world. I think you know this. Not all of it's bad, even if it doesn't come from him up high. And who knows?
course.
Who knows? Maybe it does. It just takes a different shape because I'm a lot different than you. Like I say, you're going to want to discuss this with your Reba, and it's probably better if you do that before you come to me and Prudence. But dinner first, because again, we gotta feed the kids, and
I'm sorry, but there's been no word of your daughter since what happened.
the look says drop and dead. If there was, do you really think I wouldn't have said something by now?
I'm sorry. We'll find her.
If she's still there to be found. I figure one of
yeah.
two. I figure one of two things. Either they kill her, or they try to make use of her.
I'm sorry to ask this, but can you... the picture of the preacher.
It's the doctor. A little different looking, but you can see it in the shape of the face.
We've been hunting these two men.
What they be doing this to preachers elsewhere now?
They've been doing
They tried
all
to destroy
manner
the
of...
whole town back where we came
things.
from.
I know he was a traveling preacher, but how is he a traveling preacher at two different towns?
Has it been... How long has it... June tries to... How long has it...
Well,
How long do you think it's been since you left?
Well, you've been traveling for a couple of weeks. It would have taken them less time. And they also could have just been from one place to the next. Remember, they can... So that couple of weeks ago, a little less, them coming here, means that probably what happened was they ported to here, figured something out, or possibly knew all along and decided that now would be a great time to have a seer in their corner. And that's around the point at which Jillian goes, wait, if it was a couple of weeks ago and they grabbed themselves a seer, oh fuck, they wanted an early warning system against us. Whatever it is you're gonna say, I don't want to hear it until after we've had dinner. I want to be able to eat sometime this month.
All right.
You talk about it with your friend first. After we've eaten. And then we'll talk. Probably without Prudence, I don't think she can take much of this. She knew she was getting some interesting anecdotes when she married me. I don't think she thought she was getting this. Now come on, before she does too much more with the chickens, she's never spices them quite enough for my taste. Come on. And yeah, Reba's spent an interesting little while all this has been going on. Perking up the local plant life and noting that there's actually a swing tied in one of the stronger looking limbs of the apple tree. Brent tied that up for us. Bad men took him away.
Yeah, we know.
We don't think he's coming back.
No, I'm sorry, he's not.
We can't kick the bad men who did it in the shins.
We're going to.
Yeah, but we can't. Too small.
Fair enough. You just grow up and be good. That'll be the best thing you can do for him.
It's Trudy who goes, people who are just good don't make history. We're going to be great.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Keep that attitude.
And yeah, and they're back in the house, and Prudence finds you all something to do. Dinner is put on the table, and talk turns to mostly amusing stories about Muffin. Louis is directing the conversation in that general direction. Spot gets tidbits from under the table because he came back 1 jackrabbit, 2 jackrabbit, 3 jackrabbit, and so there's going to be stew tomorrow for a good while, actually. Enough stew to last a few days, even for all of y'all. And eventually, Louis is like, we're gonna haul the twins up to bed, and then we're gonna come and clean up, and you are going to go into the parlor, and you're gonna have whatever talk you need to have before you come and talk to me, or I come and you talk to me. There's some coffee in the thing if you're gonna need it. There's some good rum back from my old days under the sink. And just gives Reba a bit of a nod. Herds the kids up. And Trudy sort of grabs the door frame. Are you staying? I'm pretty sure we can find them a space for overnight, at least. We're not sending them out into the dark. You know that, and you know why. Okay. Ask. Is it okay if Spot sleeps on my bed?
She turns to Spot. Would you like to sleep on their bed? They're asking.
Rubs against your ankles, and glump over to Hank and Tracy. And it's just, okay, up we go. It follows them up the stairs. Thank you. And you guys pour coffee, and yeah, this is some good rum, and the label's kind of old and faded, but
I try to read it to remember for later, but it's probably not
I mean, it's legible enough, and it's not a label you've seen. It's not from around here.
Right.
Make me an intelligence check.
19. Hot damn.
You're pretty sure that's French, and that's more than likely. I mean, it's a handwritten label. It's written in French. This is somewhere. Yeah, this is southeast. This is where the Cajuns be. And given that accent is not one you've heard from mixed race individuals, it makes a certain amount of sense.
So she just sets the bottle down, just kind of nods to herself, and so.
Actually,
So-
you guys are moving into the parlor because
Right.
they're going to be clearing things up. But yeah,
Right.
settle into the shabby, homey parlor.
So turns to Jillian.
It's the doctor and Isaac.
How
And
long?
they've ta- what did I write down? 6 months.
And Reba will do the maths in her head painstakingly because she's not Aloy. And go, oh, that means when they first showed up, not when they did this to Brent. So this has been going on for a while.
So they've been at this a long time.
Because you may remember, Jillian will by this point have remembered that the doctor wasn't always there. He was in and out. And, you know, when he was there and when he wasn't, you wouldn't necessarily have noticed.
So he was doing both locations.
Louis.
Or more. Remember what else? Remember other people he was contacting, like my parents?
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet when we. I'm
ahead.
willing to bet when we hit that so-called asylum, we may or may not have torched his base of operations.
One of them.
One of them.
Well, he was repeatedly coming back there out of all the places.
But he was repeatedly coming back here, too. It's just more recently.
He's
I'm getting the
invested
feeling that at the
something
very
there.
least we torched something big and he's trying to reestablish shop elsewhere.
Well, it's been here 6 months. I'd say he's pretty well established here.
He's invested something in here, but on top of
Well.
that, Louis said his other daughter, Cassie, has a gift
Well.
of foresight.
And they've got her. Well, the good news is that probably means she's still alive. The bad news is that probably means they've potentially changed her,
It's possible.
for lack of a better way to put it, or done whatever they need to do to get her to work with for
them.
something like that. Yeah.
He set himself
Right.
up as a preacher. And whoever's left alive in the town in
Said-
thrall or
Right.
too scared to do much anything now.
Sorry, whoever's
You-
left alive, given the amount, given what we were just told, it's more than just alive. It's most of the town.
So he said it was preacher and companion, so I'm assuming preacher is doctor, companion is... I'm sorry. What I've said before still stands, though. We will do what we can to try to rescue him. Or
Thank you.
try to, let me rephrase, try to save him.
I'll
More to
do
the
my
point.
part.
Choosing her words carefully because saving does not necessarily mean rescuing. But I think saving would be more important for Jillian. So, okay. So they've turned the town against, or turned the townspeople into minions, or got them to go along with
Is
whatever
somebody going to actually explain what the preacher's been preaching? Because she doesn't know. She wasn't there.
So, what is it? What are they doing? Do we know?
Claiming that all of the, I'm just gesturing in the direction of the wastes, wherever we are, like just based on where we are in the house, gesturing in that general, all of that is how the Lord wants the world to be, and that they want to help remake it that way.
Jillian grits her teeth.
They're spreading the wastes, and they've got an even more powerful hunk of ghost rock on hand, and a seer on hand.
Must have been something else even before the girl, before the ghost rock. He's been
Oh,
here for
yeah.
months.
Yeah, I mean, they've been trying this and doing this, but now they have a seer, probably more than likely against us, considering we just trashed their base of a base of operations, like you said, Aloy. And now they have on hand a more powerful oomph to potentially further their goals that much faster.
One more reason for me to make sure that thing either explodes or gets sent elsewhere to explode.
Getting into the town would have been difficult enough as is. The locals will know a stranger, and
Know
two of them
us.
and the two of them will know us.
If they, chances are they all know us already.
And that is possible.
I am going to remind you of one thing. And I'm going to hold up the sonic screwdriver, click, tap myself, and it's going to be an instance of disguise self in order to look like the actual, like, proper preacher from the last town.
You're not going out there alone, Aloy.
I also don't need to go out there alone. My voice still coming from this appearance. Because I can provide each of you with an instance of this.
Um,
Okay, that's a start.
yeah, well,
And
that,
from the doorway, it's you get Louis. At least you don't have to do it for me, Cher. You don't know. What are you nodding at?
that was just acknowledgement of hearing what you said.
Mm.
Sorry. She just turns and looks at him.
Gestures, and he looks like Reba.
He's got a few of his own tricks.
And
That
dispels
one
it.
included. And I'm finally dispelling mine as he does.
Mostly his illusions. Little bit of sleight of hand. A little more than that, but the illusions used to just be getting better at cards. Found a different calling.
Yeah. Sell your horse. Ranger?
Not exactly. I know what you are. I'm not quite so exalted. My people didn't quite do that. At least not when you're as wild and untrained as I am. But similar sort of purpose on a more here and now kind of level. So I guess, yeah, Ranger in a way. Just not your standard poacher, yeah?
I'm glad we crossed paths. I'm sorry about the circumstances, but glad we met.
I'm not even gonna go into the mysterious ways things. I know what it's like when preachers who do more than just the preaching, they don't tend to take well to that kind of joke, and I respect that. Drops into a chair. So, you know this preacher.
Yes.
And I guess that the black-eyed bastard wasn't always either.
He's possessed.
No, that explains why apparently Brent didn't dent him so much with the shovel.
Probably did actually dent him, but the possessing function just decided to ignore that particular bit of wham.
When they came for my Cassie, I wasn't here. I was out at the outskirts of town. I've been trying to keep this place safe as much as I could when we had nasty preacher. The last thing we needed with crap from inside was outside crap coming in. But so when they came for Cassie, Brent who came and attacked. Sorry, but it's all I've got for him. Black-eyed bastard with a shovel. Thankfully, Prudence was keeping the twins out of the way.
How much do you understand about your daughter's gifts?
I mean, she's got limits. Everybody's got limits. I didn't ask her very much about it. She wanted to be normal. She'd help a little bit. Occasional warnings. Always knew her tomatoes weren't going to come out so good, but kept trying it anyway. Said this was her way of trying to buck fate. She said this crop was going to do a little better this year. Looks at Reba.
The warnings were always accurate.
Oh, yeah. Bad storms. And said that we should keep friendly with the local vet, even though he was being a shithead. And next thing, our cows take sick. That kind of thing. I don't know exactly how specific it is what she sees. I don't know if they can make it any clearer. I do know this, though. It's possible that they would have turned her, but I don't think they were going to do that. It's a logic thing. Magic's funny. If you do one thing, they don't know if it wrecks the other thing. If you wanted to see her that badly, would you take the risk? Maybe it's wishful thinking, but it's wishful thinking with a whole lot of logic.
Yeah, it's a sound.
Doesn't change the
Sound
fact
argument.
that there's other ways of getting someone to tell you, to tell whatever.
But
We have to assume that the two of them will know we're in town as soon as we step in.
Not necessarily. Like I say, vague warnings. We knew. Yeah, she knew the things to say to us and how to say them. But it was still a little vague. And we had to learn to interpret. And we had years. We had from when she was just learning to talk. And she was trying to be as clear as possible for us.
yeah, and Jillian, if they've got her under duress, which I mean they do, but I mean if they're okay, fine, not to put too fine a point on it.
If they're torturing her.
Information. She's going to tell them what they want to hear. It may not necessarily be the truth.
I think you might be a little wrong about that, because that's disprovable. She does it too much, too often, and they prove it, they can do worse. But just because she's being honest doesn't mean she's being clear. Do you always understand the warnings and messages you get? Or you?
Yes, I understand. I understand what you're saying. When Cassie saw something, did you ever notice before she told you? Did she act a certain way? Did your body shake or some kind of symptom?
Not that I saw, no.
Okay.
It's just a thing that happened. I never asked her very much about it. She didn't really seem comfortable with talking about it. But it never seemed to hurt her. You're muted. And anyway.
When she had these sights and predictions, she didn't make them come. She let them come.
I don't know.
Okay, it was worth a shot. But
Sometimes she does new things. I don't know if it was because he just came to her or because she was thinking on it, looking for an answer. I don't know. That's starting to get invasive.
We're just thinking of whether the doctor knows when she has a vision.
What matters is us getting in there, getting more information about how to approach, and at the very least get her out of there. We solve for that variable, then we can solve the rest of the equation. So let's think about rescue options.
Well, I'll tell you this much, and it's the only reason I think I didn't just shoot you. I don't know how clear she saw it, but that morning before I headed out on my rounds and before everything went, she told me not all visitors were gonna be bad ones.
Sounds like our arrival was already foretold, just not to the jackass who's earned himself. God, if I'm doing the math right, at least 1,700 bullets.
That seems like a waste of bullets. You only need the one if it's placed right. I don't need him to suffer. I just need him to die. The preacher man. I don't know what's going on with. Actually, no. I think I know a little bit about what's going on with the possessed one. You're a little too protective.
Jillian's not saying nothing.
I ain't judging. I don't know if I'd do any less for my prudence. Sorry. You see, that's where you're running into I'm not great with distances.
You're just thinking in terms of buildings.
And if you're looking at a place with like 150 people, and you don't have apartment buildings, and you've also got like a general store and a you know, a church, police office,
The
that kind of.
saloon and that type of thing. Yeah.
So, you know, probably looking at a couple of hundred buildings of various sizes, depending. I mean, we're talking, you know, outbuildings and that kind of thing. But I mean, in the town, there's not that many people who live in it. There's the church, and unfortunately, right next to that is the schoolroom. Used to be a nice little town square. Haven't seen it much since, and don't know if I want to, but guess I'm gonna have to. And then there's for in the West, this place predates that starting. And it was carving itself out of a not great spot even then, but we had travelers through, so we did quite well. There's a general store, clothiers, blacksmith.
It's not a mining town, is it? Or once was?
No, it's more of a... I guess the closest you could come is very small trade hub. Because if you're getting something from our west to over to the east, or vice versa, you know, in the clean places, you need some place in between to feed your horses, feed yourselves, get new gear, deal with your horse if it's thrown a shoe. I mean, we have a veterinarian. Because, you know, if you're wandering through that kind of terrain, you need to take care of your horse. Horses, either way. So, we got a lot of things that you probably wouldn't expect a West town to have. But, and you know, none of that stopped just because the Wastes became what they are now. And this is you probably know this is not my I'm born here. I'm born anywhere near here. But Prudence. My Prudence. Couple of generations of her family. I think she came through from... I think it was England. Not entirely sure. But they came. They settled. They built themselves the little farm. It used to be doing a lot better. The corn was doing a lot better. Still mostly for horse feed, but, you know, travel hub town, you need that. Did us well. Did her family well. I met her because she was making a little extra pocket money. Slinging beers at the saloon. I was coming through after a mission. She was the prettiest thing in that place. And I don't want her losing anything else. I can lose a lot. I have. I lost friends. Lost some of my own family. My papa's family. I don't think they were as lucky as your mama. Yeah. Mama was luckier, but not by all that much. At least she had enough to teach me finer ways. He'd get back some of the rich bastards. Taking them for everything they had at a card table. But then I threw it all in to hunt monsters and end up with a farm girl in what is Wastelands. World is funny thing. But I've lost so much. This is the first time she's ever really lost anything.
It'll be the last time. And we'll do everything we can to get Cassie back.
You're not doing it alone. You gotta be kidding me. I couldn't do it by myself. Because I was bound to die. And then she'd lose yet more. You lot kicking around? Maybe I stand a bit of a chance to get home. But don't give me that.
You're
Jillian,
making assumptions again, Jillian.
Do you see the look? Yeah. Do you see the look in his face? You ain't saying no.
All right.
Besides,
I know the town.
Yes.
And
I appreciate your help.
he can also supply us with the information needed to make disguises that'll blend in.
Oh, that's easy. It's still a trade town.
yeah, I was about to ask. There's all this going on. It doesn't seem like it affected, or it's had much of an effect on regular, quote unquote, regular activity.
Well, no.
Traffic's still come through, and
Saloon's still open for business. Doing our own trade.
this isn't like the other town that we helped out.
All right,
Jillian.
and then in the morning,
Yeah,
we head
well,
out. Start taking a look around.
You're the one who seems to understand things, Reba. If you could maybe have a word with Prudence and at least assure her you're gonna try not to see me dead. Because she ain't saying me no either. But I think she remembers all too well what happened to Brent.
They told you we did right. We did what we could.
Yes. And I thank them and you for that.
Yeah. You probably already know.
What? Just in case.
No, just that I had to speak with him.
No, they didn't tell me that.
Yeah, that's how we found out. That's how we found out about Cassie, and that's how we knew to come here. When I did speak with him, one of the first things I asked him was where his family was, because regardless of what was going on, what caused him to end up there, I wanted to make sure that his family at least knew.
I wish I could have been there. There's some... While he was a churchgoer until the church went strange, there was a little more that you probably thought wasn't appropriate. I don't know if you were more for your tribe or your mama's people. But I imagine that your mama's people and how I would have seen him off a little bit closer. Is probably, if we could ever spare the help when Hank and Trudy were older, he was probably gonna go off to Louisiana, see what he could learn there. He could always pass better than me. Cassie takes a little more after me, though, given she's the only other one with magics that I know about in the family. I suppose it's not surprising.
Trudy and they're going to be, as Trudy herself put it, they're going to be great.
This is the first thing she said when Prudence told them to be good.
Yeah. Got a couple of Spitfires. They're gonna come through this okay.
We tell them enough to know that the world is a strange and a wonderful and a dangerous place. We don't tell them enough to scar them. I guess you told them that Brent isn't coming back, but you didn't go into any detail, yeah? Good.
No. I did tell them that was what brought it up. I said the best thing they could do is grow up and be good. And
Brent wouldn't have wanted them to be good anyway. Would have wanted them to get into at least a little mischief.
exactly. But yeah, they're gonna be just fine.
They're probably gonna be a little awkward, but the rooms we got available, apart from the parlor here, but we can't fit all three of you and the muffin, are Brent and Cassie's. I
As long
think.
as you're all right with that.
Well, you gotta sleep somewhere. You're gonna be well rested for this, yeah? I suppose, Missy Science here. She don't want to sleep down here with her muffin box.
Right in one.
I'll get you some bedding when I go upstairs, but I think if you can say anything for those that keep the crossroads rather than just sorry, but I'll have you in Brent's room. Leaves you with Cassie's. And I'll bring you down a quilt or something. Just that sofa's probably the one that can take a little more wear. And leads you upstairs. Brent's room is, it's an adventurous boy's room. It's still got some, interesting rocks and sticks on one of the shelves. There's actually a couple of books, which must have come at moderate expense, but and there's a map of the United States as it currently is on one of the walls. Just a geopolitical kind of thing, and you can see little dots in it, different colored pins that clearly mean something to him, maybe an order and where he was going to travel. Cassie's is smaller, a little pink and fluffy. Somewhat dried out flowers in vases on a couple of end tables, and a Jillian, make me a perception check.
Oof.
It's dark. It's mostly candle lanterns and things along those lines, but you get that there's pictures on the wall, and they're not all of the family. They're very well done, but you're gonna need more in the way of light to really get a good look at them. But for now, it's a pink, slightly fluffy girl's room. There is a teddy bear on the bed, slightly battered, a pink bow around its neck. Cassie is probably a little old for that kind of thing, but
Cassandra is Cassandra.
Yeah.
Jillian very gently puts the bear on a dresser or something.
Yeah, and there's definitely a dresser. It's to be fair, when Reba is settling, and head on pillow, bit lumpy, and when she takes it, pulls it out, there is a teddy bear with a little cloth mask that looks like a skull and a top hat.
God, it's a Zoro. Whoa, God, this is a Zorro bear.
No,
Or-
it's skull mask. That's a gay bear.
Oh God, that's even better.
Hear her chuckling, not loud, like trying to be a little quiet.
Jillian can hear it because she's only in the next room.
Yeah. So Reba will set it. We'll set it set it where it can see the window and the door. and yeah, and also do what little ritual she can do to do her own part to see Brett.
Yeah, I mean, if you make the correct offerings, it's like, here's some chocolate, here's some rum. Okay, you foul-mouthed bastard. See him right.
Yeah, basically.
It's I don't think you need all that much more. And part of the reason why I love that kind of thing,
Yeah, because she didn't. That's one of the things during the conversation when she had some of the rum but didn't finish it, and topped it off to bring up.
Yep. And Louis, when he saw you topping up, Louis knew what you were going to do and didn't say shit.
While they're upstairs, I'm going to give the couch a once-over and see if there's anything I can apply mending to help.
It's not, I mean, that's the thing. There's nothing that really needs fixing. It's just a bit faded. That's all. And there's no popped seams. Anything that's needed to be mended has been mended by hand. But magic can only do so much, and there's no real defense against time and fading. That's things do that. But he comes back down with I mean, this is a fairly intricate patchwork quilt, and if you look at each of the individual squares, they all seem to be little scenes that apparently represent stuff that's been going on with the family up until what appears to be the twins' 5th birthday, which is where they ran out of squares. So it's it's Louis and Prudence meeting, and what appears to be some kind of chaperone date, and the wedding and things. And when Aloy sees that, the first thing is, okay, Jillian cannot see this quilt.
It was just the look of, oh boy.
Yeah, I know, but it's the quilt that we had.
Understandable. I'm just gonna make sure I'm up a little earlier than usual to help
Boop boop.
keep it out of sight.
Boop boop. It's okay, I can just shut the parlor door. I don't think that your Jillian is the kind who's gonna be hammering at your door at dawn, not when there's little kids.
Fair enough.
Gives her a pat. And yeah, I knew a guy like you once. Didn't make anything as spectacular as this, though. I tell you this for nothing.
How much?
Sorry, go ahead.
How much of it exploded?
Not that much, actually. It was, he was more into making things melt. I tell you this
I
for...
wish I had that problem.
No, you really don't. There's some things you really don't want to melt. Besides, acid smells awful.
Oh.
Now, look. I tell you this much for nothing. Yeah, they're probably going to be a little finger waggy at you. But you're starting to learn your boundaries, I bet. They're still putting up with you.
Yeah. And my documentation's getting better.
They like you just fine.
Good.
They would have left you by the side of the road long since. They didn't. They're pragmatic
Yeah.
people. And while you're useful, if you weren't also good to have around for more than just what you can fix, they would have found somebody who blows things up less.
Yeah, because I think Jillian had a first-hand view of that with the Buffalo incident.
That was you.
Holy crap! It's gotten that.
No!
Here.
No, I used to travel. I did that after I was married, you know. I tended to stick around when the kids were little, but there was a bit of a gap between Cassie and the twins, so...
So you went through the place that, boom.
Is still talking about you people, yes. Also... At this point, he looks at Muffin. Pet. Yeah. We need a name for what you are, because I can't just call you the mechanical mule.
Yeah, Muffin is Muffin.
Companion. Your best companion. Tilt's head looks at Aloy. Boop. Tilt's head looks at Louis. Boop. Yeah, you're good. Boop.
He's hit the nail on the head with that, Muffin.
Boop, 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 boop. He's just excitable little dude doing the doggy tappy taps. Hush you. And you be careful of the carpet now. I'm letting you in trust like. Tap, 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 tap. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, that'll do. I just figure they're a pragmatic bunch and they're not all that good at all that feelings crap. Somebody has to say it, might as well be me. I used to do the bounty mercenary thing, so sometimes repayment needs happening, and if they don't necessarily have to know about it, that's fine.
You just scored perfectly in every category I could ever think of, so thank you.
Very welcome. Do you need anything before bed?
I should be good as is.
Well, if you need anything, we're sort of... You come up the stairs, you turn left, and we're the first left down, because the kids are at that other end of the hall to the right, and your friends are right-hand side of the corridor.
Got it.
And they know where you are, but they're probably not gonna... Like I say, we're a relatively safe spot at the moment. Gives Muffin...
Help shore that up.
Give Muffin another pet. And since, we are well past that time, we'll leave it there, and when we meet up next week, we'll storm the town. Or sneakily. Or we'll try to, but this is you guys, so... I'll see...
Sneaking mission. Infiltration and information gathering. Hooah!
Yeah, good luck with that, it's you people. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow for an entirely different form of torture.